Hi, chat. Fancy seeing you here tonight. Uh-oh. What's wrong? Oh, okay. Nothing. Sean's busy getting his tickets to this year, the Gathering of the Juggalos. Yes. Whoop, whoop. Anyways, hello, everybody. My name is Sean, if you guys are new, also known as Potentially Criminal. I am an attorney in the Cleveland, Ohio area, and I do a lot of criminal defense work, kind of focus on that. And this is the Thursday night stream. We do this every Thursday at 9:30. So welcome. Thank you for being here if you're new. If you've been watching us through the Young Thug stuff, the Nick Rekieta stuff, or the Karen Reed stuff, yes, please enjoy yourselves. I think it's a great time. We try to give everybody a couple of minutes to get in here tonight because YouTube's not the best at notifying everybody. In fact, nothing's really the best at notifying anyone except for Twitch. That's like the one thing that always notifies people. But with that said, we want to say hello to everybody out there on Twitter, Twitch, and here on YouTube. I tried setting up Rumble, guys. Rumble crapped the bed again, so I am sorry to everyone out there. You set it up and it either goes or it doesn't want to go. I mean, it's Rumble, so I do also want to say hello to everybody also, and last but not least, over on Locals. If you guys don't know what Locals is everything Patreon was supposed to be. And they actually do adhere to the idea of they want you to create. They want you to have a fun time. And they don't want to censor you. They don't want to dictate their own beliefs and ideologies on you. So at potentiallycriminal.locals.com, you can join us over there. And it's just like Patreon. You can sign up for free. When you do that, you get access to the kind of the community wall. Things I'll put up there, other people put up there. You can put things up there yourself. You guys can go back and forth to talk about things. And then every Thursday night, like while the show's going, we do the Thursday night live chat. And that's a chat open to everyone. That is something that is available to all members. If you wish to support me, it's $3 a month. That's the least they let me charge. You pay for 10 months. I give you 2 months free. Now, what do you get with those 2 months? What do you get with those $3 a month? Well, with those $3 a month, you get quite a bit. One of the things I like to say is I'm a fan of Formula One. We have watch parties for the races that happen. We just watched the Canadian Grand Prix. We watched the Australian Grand Prix. We watched a couple other ones along the way. We still have a whole season left. The other thing you get access to are the live shows. So, for example, if Mr. Mediker is going live, which it sounds like he will Saturday night, we will watch that together. It's a fun time. It's a nice little place where we can react amongst ourselves. And then the standard stuff you get. You get 2 live shows a week. You get a Monday night show. We start at about 8:30 or so. And we get to talk about all the stuff that isn't necessarily applicable to what we're doing every day here on the channel. Funny stuff, more serious stuff, topics YouTube doesn't let you talk about. We do that over there. And then every Thursday night after this show, we go hang out for a little while. And it's, we get to have a little fun, get to BS a little bit. And, all the things we couldn't talk about here or get to here. Or that wouldn't be appropriate topics for what we're dealing with here. And that's over at potentiallycriminal.locals.com. If you want to try 1 month free access to completely everything, you can use the promo code BoogerSugar, and that will give you that 1 month free. After that, there's no obligation. If you don't like it, you're free to go. You're not detained. But I think you will find out it's actually pretty good value. It's a lot of fun, and hope to see you guys there, especially tonight. So that's at potentiallycriminal.locals.com. I'm getting better and better at these, BSing my way through these ads. Yes, we can play with guns. We can do all kinds of stuff like this gun back here. Back here. I can't touch that on YouTube. Actually, hold on, chat. 1 second. I need to. Ooh, I forgot to do this earlier. There we go. Fixed. There we go. A lot better. Try to keep the edge of this as my edge there. He's touching it on YouTube. Yes, no, we're not doing that. Do I have a Fansly? No, I don't have a Fansly. Do I get catfish for free? Yes, I don't pay for the catfishing. And like I said, guys, we try to give people about 10 minutes. So we got a lot to talk about tonight. A lot to talk about. 300 people in here already. Holy cow. I really appreciate you guys being here already. I guess people did get notifications. Jesus is my standby counsel says he's my lawyer. He only sells small hats. Why especially tonight? Well, I think we got a lot going on this show tonight. I think it's going to be pretty cool. There's a lot of fun stuff to talk about. So that's why, because I said so. And that's the bottom line. And we have a lot to talk about, guys. Sarah Boone is back on the warpath, and our girl, she's at it again. Sarah Boone is being Sarah Boone. And we actually get to talk to her. You get to listen to her talk quite a bit tonight. You guys will get your heart's content out of it. So it will be very, very, very good. And it's interesting what's going on with her. It's very interesting what's going on with her. So, and where is... we actually have everything all set. And what's this thing here? So we are ready to go. You know what? I think we're just going to say fuck it and do it live. Do 14 local shows a month. I think last month I did 14 local shows. Unlike other people, I deliver. You are a hell of a salesman for locals. I try. Yes, there is a Discord, but you better wear a helmet if you go in there. Are you a Lance Stroll supporter? I mean, it'd be kind of nice to watch that guy do well, but no, I'm a Ferrari fan. I am a Tifosi. I love the Scuderia. I'm not liking their decisions they're making for next year, but I still like Ferrari. Bass for $4.99 is saying, would you rather be Glanville, Ricada, or a blogger? I'd rather be a blogger. Do you remember butt dialing me this morning? Yeah, I did. That was really weird. My apologies. Fucking Discord is a pain in the ass. Unknown Hero for $2 says, "Oh, I'm gonna come. Hope this is gonna be a good blog." Well, it'll be an okay blog. So let's get started, guys. I guess we'll start off with hold on here. What did somebody just send me? Okay. We're gonna hold on to this one because this will go well with that. And hold on here. No, don't do that to me. Where's that stupid thing? Okay, here we go. Good. I got what I was looking for. All right. So the first thing that happened, guys, is Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden, as you know, was on trial for charges stemming from his access to a firearm. Now, why is that an issue for Hunter Biden? Well, Hunter Biden was had a taste for the crack cocaine for multiple years of his life, and probably, let's be really, probably still does. I mean, he's out there probably burning rock as we speak. But Hunter was doing crack back in 2018 and 2019, and at the time, he bought a firearm. And that becomes an issue because when you purchase a firearm, there's a form you have to fill out. He filled out this form from the federal government, and it's called a 4473. And yes, he's the Nick Ricada of politics. And when you fill this out, and if you guys have never seen one of these before, this is what it is. And I'll show you real quick where you can tell what kind of form you're ever looking at, the ATF. And it's this bad boy down here, form 4473. But anyways, getting up to the top of it, how does this work if you've never seen one before or you've ever bought a gun? So if you're talking about the type of gun you're buying, the manufacturer, the model, serial number type, gauge, and caliber. Total number of firearms you're transferring. Your name, your last name, first name, middle name, all the information they need to know about where you live, your place of birth, or if you're from a foreign country, because you could be a resident alien or a naturalized citizen, your height, weight, sex, you can do non-binary if you want to. And then you get down to these questions. And he says, answer the following questions by checking yes or no. And it's, are you the actual transferee of this firearm listed on the forms? Do you intend to sell or dispose of them in furtherance of a felony or other offense? Are you under indictment or information for a felony offense where you face at least more than 1 year in prison? Have you been charged with court-martial offenses? Have you ever been convicted of a felony where you could face more than 1 year in prison? And then it becomes, this is the big one, guys, and we'll skip this one for a second. Have you ever been adjudicated as mentally defective or committed to a mental hospital? Have you been discharged from the armed forces dishonorably? Are you subject to a military protection order or a restraining order? Have you ever been convicted of a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence? Have you ever renounced your United States citizenship? Are you an alien illegally or unlawfully in the United States? Okay. Now, this one we skipped here, F. This one's important. And why does it become important, chat? Well, becomes a bit of an issue for Hunter because when he was at the gun store, he said, are you an unlawful user addicted to marijuana or any depressant, stimulant, narcotic drug, or any other controlled substance? He checked on the box, no. He came over to that box right here and went, nope. He comes over to this box and put a big old X. Now, for most people, that's the correct answer. That's the correct answer for most people. For Hunter, this is a bit of a problem because, well, he was doing drugs, in particular, that crack cocaine. So what does that mean? Well, that is a violation of 18 USC 922G. It's a federal law. In addition to that, because he said no, and he knowingly said no, because he talks about in his books, he talks about doing drugs. He's got pictures of him doing drugs. Remember, the Hunter Biden laptop, full of him doing crimes. Remember, don't document yourself committing crimes. So Hunter got charged with multiple offenses. He was charged with making a false statement in connection with acquiring a firearm. He made a false statement for the record keeping. And then he was charged with possessing a firearm by somebody who's an unlawful user or addicted to a controlled substance. 3 separate felonies. 3 separate felonies. The government, well, they don't just generally smack you with that. It's part of other offenses, but it's still a chargeable crime. Now, what happens? Well, Hunter went to trial on those. And if you guys remember, we went back and covered this early on. There was going to be some sort of plea deal. It was going to be a plea deal for this case and Hunter's tax case, where he owed like a couple $1 million. But it was going to cover everything else he did. The money laundering, violating the Foreign Agents Registration Act, the corruption that he was engaged in. A lot of stuff he did that he really should be facing charges for, but he's not going to get it. He wasn't going to get those charges. So this is all he was going to be getting ultimately. What happens from here? Well, Hunter went to trial, and shocker, he was convicted. Surprisingly, I know all of you were thinking, "Oh, he's going to be fine," and I didn't. I thought he'd get convicted. I mean, it makes sense. It was in the district court for Delaware, though, so there was an idea Hunter might have been able to beat this because people be like, "Oh, he's Joe. It's such a good boy." Well, so count one, making a false statement. They found him guilty. This is what a jury verdict form is, guys. Yes or no. It's very simple at times. Count two, making a false statement with respect to information required to be kept in records. And it's because the FFL has to keep the records. They found him guilty. And then 3, possession by a person who's an unlawful user of a controlled substance. They found him guilty. And it's a unanimous verdict of the jury. And the date was June 11th, 2024. So this is pretty fresh, guys. It happened this week. Happened 2 days ago. And all the jurors signed in here and they went, yeah, yep. And they're all redacted. Form of privacy. Now, people have asked me, what's this mean? Well, at this point, these charges are bullshit. Why? There are multiple courts where they've looked at the impact of Bruin, the New York State Pistol and Rifle Association versus Bruin, which has gutted gun control laws across the country. In fact, this specific offense was gutted in the Fifth Circuit. There's a lot of blows are being struck to federal firearms laws at this point, but this one hasn't. That said, though, he probably will win on an appeal and get these all thrown out, which will be hilarious because it's gonna be great when the vehicle and the means that we get to see the Gun Control Act and 18 U.S.C. 922 get heavily gutted and restricted comes from Joe Biden's son, his crack-addicted, moronic son. And if that's what it takes to get some gun laws to go bye-bye, I mean, we got to do what we got to do here, chat. And I, for one, will be happy to see it happen. And it probably will happen. I don't see why it wouldn't. And if it doesn't get overturned at the circuit court level, the Supreme Court probably will take this case up because there's a name attached to it. Now, Hunter has been found guilty, but he hasn't been convicted yet. So what's the next step? Well, he's going to go for a sentencing, and that sentencing is going to be set out. And I don't believe that sentencing actually has a date yet. He's going to meet with the federal probation department, and they are going to prepare a report, just like a state-level offense. The prosecution is going to put together a sentencing memorandum. The defense is going to do a sentencing memorandum. Everybody's going to put their say in. And the judge will make a decision. Now, will Hunter go to prison? I doubt it. This wasn't the crime of the century. He's not a career criminal. Yeah, he's a guy with a drug problem. Yeah, he's a tool. And I'm sure a lot of us would love to see that happen just because he's Joe Biden's son. And yes, I understand the idea of, well, fuck him, fuck his problems. But we gotta work on this where we can, chat. This is the best chance we're gonna get to take care of overturning some gun laws. So that alone, and I would argue the principle of that alone, should guide you there. Personally, if the laws are wrong, nobody should be convicted of them. So for me, it's a principle issue. But for you, if you're out there, there's a pragmatic look at this. He can help you. So take advantage of it. Yes, Hunter was charged due to the size of his hog. Well, maybe. His attorneys did file a motion to acquit under the Second Amendment and citing Bruin and making some arguments, which I don't think were bad. I think it's funny, though, and I'm sure these Democrat attorneys were worried about bursting into flames for making an argument on behalf of the Second Amendment, but they did. And yeah, that's just, I almost wonder what was going to happen to them. Did they almost catch fire? Abby Lowell, Christopher Mann from Winston and Strawn, and Bartholomew Dalton. I'm sure these guys were probably trying not to catch on fire. But they talk about this here, and they are um, moving for judgment of acquittal under the Second Amendment as applied to him. The issue with the Fifth Amendment, they made other claims there, but those aren't the ones we're worried about right now. It's the Second Amendment ones. And they challenge the facially unconstitutional nature of the offense. Now, there's two types of things you can do with a constitutional challenge. You can do a facial challenge, and you can do an as-applied challenge. A facial challenge, you start off from the beginning, and you say, this law is unconstitutional, full stop. You can't do anything with it. It has to die right now. The second thing you could do is an as-applied challenge saying, the law itself may be okay, but based on this fact pattern and how you're applying it, give it the name as applied, it's not constitutional. The issue with the as applied challenge is you have to get through presentations of evidence. So typically, and I mean, there might be ways you could avoid this, but generally speaking, an as applied challenge would only be raised after the close of evidence in a trial. So that is something that they did as well, but initially they did the facially unconstitutional challenge. And now they're bringing it as an as applied challenge. And now some of you are looking at the date of that and saying, well, wait, it's on June 7th. Well, remember, June 7th was a Friday. So they brought it on Friday. They had the arguments, the evidence closed. They had closing arguments Monday on the 10th. The jury had it for a little bit. Then the jury came back on the 11th with the guilty verdicts. So that's the timeline we're looking at here. Now, under the Second Amendment, that it's unconstitutional. They did point out that recent decisions in the Fifth and Eighth Circuits draw that line, and they point out also with these two cases, Beasley and United States v. Daniels. So, what is the Daniels test? And citing Bruin, they talk about the Third Circuit. Okay, well, because that's where they are. They are in the Third Circuit. But they have to look at what Daniels has done because Daniels is in a different circuit. The Fifth Circuit believes was valid historical precedent for prohibiting firearm possession while actively intoxicated. And that's true. I think the movie Tombstone's a great example of that. When the cowboys came into town, they were drunk as fuck and they had to give up their guns. And when they sobered up, they grabbed their guns. And then we had the shootout at the OK Corral because they refused to leave town. And that's interestingly enough, a gun control issue. That was the police shooting at people. Now, there's, depends on which side you look at it, who are the good guys and bad guys, but it was Wyatt Earp was helping enforce gun control when the OK Corral happened. Just saying, there's a little more to history than you think. Now, they point out that 922G3 is broader because it applies to an undefined set of users if they're not under the influence. And there's a difference between someone who's actually intoxicated, and someone who's an unlawful user under G3. In Daniels, they reversed the conviction for a guy who used marijuana 14 days per month. But when he had the gun, he wasn't under the influence of marijuana. And that's part of the argument here. Okay, great, but you have to prove Hunter was high when either he bought the gun or he possessed it at any time. And there's no proof he has. Now, the government would have to show that because remember, possession is not just merely, and this is fake YouTube, holding the gun. If I'm sitting here on my desk, I'm possessing it. I'm exercising a dominion and control over it. If it's in my backpack, I'm exercising dominion and control. If it's in my car, if it's within reach of me, if it's within my house, I would argue that's possession too. So Daniels found the precedent if the person was actively intoxicated in possession. But none barred possession by regular drinkers, and that's true. People were habitual drunkards back then. People were addicted to opium in the Wild West. You'd smoke a ball of opium on the end of a reed. People were taking laudanum, which is basically liquid heroin. There were all kinds of things you could do back then. As long as you weren't drunk and being dangerous, nobody cared. So the government failed to identify any relevant tradition of the founders disarming ordinary citizens who consumed alcohol. So, the repeat marijuana users were not enough to be disarmed. They're not dangerous enough. Ordinary drunkards were left unregulated. And Congress nor states disarmed alcoholics, the group most analogous to modern day drug users. And that's true because mainly there weren't a lot of drug users. Overall, people drank. And that was an issue of access to alcohol. But also remember, back then, alcohol was safer than water because it was sterile, it's sanitary. Uh, so they point about that. By contrast, there's no one's witnessing using drugs or messages arranging to buy guns. There's no pictures of drugs, no pictures of Scales using anything at all. He was not using drugs when he had the gun. I mean, we know there's all these pictures of him using drugs, but was it exactly when he bought them? It's like, well, we kind of think it's around that time frame. Remember, chat, that's not good enough. You have to show that time he had the gun, he was using. So hold on, chat, 1 second. Oh, well, she doesn't want to come here. Hi, Clyde. He's saying hello. Hi, Bubby. Hi, Bub. So that is the big thing there. That is the big, big argument. Now, do I think that argument's going to win? Yes. 100% it will. Yes. Bork, 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 or boof, boof, boof. I think this argument's going to win. And I think it's the argument that's the right argument. It's the argument that should go forward. It's what the Third Circuit should adopt. But are they going to? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, remember, courts get a little antsy when they realize they might be letting, judges are like, yay, I understand the Second Amendment, but the idea of, letting drug users run around and have guns, or the prohibitions on felons owning firearms, which doesn't go back to the founding, that's going to be a very hard pill to swallow for many in the court. Just like I said, the idea you're going to get the Supreme Court to sit there and say, you know what, Sean? You could put a switchy on the back of this bad boy and go brrr to your heart's content. Or we'll make it so that vending machines have grenade launchers. Ain't happening, guys, as much as we want to. But then they get to the Beasley test, and this is in the Eighth Circuit. And the court rejected the government's claim it can disarm actively intoxicated people. Because the court says intoxicated people have all the same rights as us, include the right to possess guns. And I think that's fair. If I'm sitting in my house getting drunk, do I no longer have the right to use a firearm to protect myself? Now, that said, the historical offense was not about mere possession or openly carrying a firearm. It required more. That back then you could get in trouble for terrorizing people or scaring them. And I think that makes sense. If you're out there all sloppy drunk and you're waving a gun around and like, boom, boom, like, let's say you're cranking off shots. People have a right. They're terrorized. They're scared of you. That makes sense. But not every drug user or addict will terrify others, even with a firearm. But those details are relevant to an as applied challenge, not a facial one. Remember, you have to get through all the facts on the case before you can make the ruling. Aga's saying that shit is very common in New Orleans, apparently. Well, yeah, I bet there's a lot of people doing that. So that is where we are. And like I said, I think Hunter is going to win, and I think he should win. And I don't think the court's going to overturn it. Because remember, the court does have the authority to vacate the verdict. She's not going to. This judge is going to do what she's going to do. But I think the courts of appeals are going to do the right thing and dismiss it. And they'll vacate it, and they'll say, yes, this doesn't apply. And that will have a massive effect. So, fingers crossed, chat. We're going to see some good changes to the gun laws coming up. That's all I can say right now. That's all I can say. Justin Hancock says, well, yes, or just cranking off. Well, yes, you weren't allowed to do. Back then, they would just beat you with sticks if they caught you just, knocking one out. Yes, cheers to better case law. Yes. Benjamin Lewis, I'm also sorry. I didn't mean to time you out earlier today. Are there any states where you're allowed to have a gun in a bar? Yeah, Ohio. I just can't be intoxicated. There's a lot of states you can. There's a lot of states you can't. And if you don't know what state that is, consult an attorney where you live to make sure. That's the legal advice. Consult an attorney in your jurisdiction to figure out whether or not you can. And we got some other comments here. Fair Frozen 55 says, this stream is full of things others should be doing instead of Coke. Yes, or cope. Both Coke and cope. KRM says, Hunter isn't stressed taking his kids to piano lessons. Well, that's because crack is just super quick high. But you have to take time to set up the smoke crack. Kind of got to get like all settled in. Got to sit there and fire up the rock. You got to have some, chore boy and everything. You need your glass rose, and you need to break it open and get the rose out. It's not as easy as just snorting up some snow. It's a little more. It takes that time, so you make sure you make time in your schedule for yourself. The cop ordering at Denny's for $5. Now, Mr. Cop. Do you know? Did you know what you did when you bought the super chat? Or hold on, I need to go like this. Okay, Mr. Cop, do you understand what you did when you picked the super chat? I mean, that's the real question. But anyways, thank you for $5. It says Barnes vindicated. This is all hearsay and conspiracy. I understand that reference. I get that joke. Oh, my mom texted me. He's telling me I was late, but not gay. Thank you, Mom. M Towers is a new member. I guess that's the proto to the N-word towers, the M Towers, and then eventually it's like Pokemon. You have to hit it with the special rock, and then it becomes an N-word tower. Derper says, any word on the body cam? Nope. I know Noel was working on it, and they were going to give him an answer soon. But remember, it's been actually. Hold on here. Let's count the calendar days. 1 week, 2 week, 3. I mean, this is technically like 3 weeks on the nose, but I mean, give or take a couple of days, I think we'll find out if the body cam gets released. So give it some time. Give it some time. I do thank you for the super chat though, but I don't think it's coming out anytime. Like it's not coming out tomorrow that I know of. If Noel saves that for Maddie, that's a king move. I will say that much. Eric K has been a member for 10 months. Eric, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it. Is saying, Sean, I have a Sterling near me. What is your SMG? I don't have an SMG. I kind of go back and forth on them, like getting a pistol caliber carbine. Like, I'd love to do an MP5. And if I did the MP5, I would probably do it like the SD5, I think. Because I just think the MP5 rocks. Mm, 'Cause other than that, I'm not sure what I'd want. I don't really think I'd want an Uzi, or as Arnold says in Terminator, Uzi 9 millimeter. Would I want a Scorpion? I don't think so. Like I said, if I had my choice, I would do an MP5. Um, God, I gotta get out in the garage and work on the G3. If I could bend a G3 flat, I'll do an MP5 build. Although, God almighty, the parts kits for those are expensive. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Ag is saying back then water had cholera in it. Well, it had a lot of things in it. And Sky's neighbor says, what if you were an unordinary drunkard? Yes, your power levels are too special. And Brimstone says Hunter said he was smoking crack around the clock. Yeah, I know that, and he talks about it, and he got like new teeth, but I still think they shouldn't have prosecuted him. There shouldn't be a law that exists. Bob Dobbs for $5 says Hunter is a gross person. Not disagreeing. I'm still not a fan of lawfare, whether directed at Trump's family or Biden's. I agree. But I do understand people on the side of this saying, well, fuck, they came at Trump, so, we're going to fuck back. Although, keep in mind, they're literally getting one of the most ticky-tack things instead of the money laundering and all the other shit he did with Ukraine. So, and also Joe could always pardon him. So, there's always that, too. And Johan Naxos for $5, thank you, is saying, why are you streaming, Sean? What are we talking about tonight, Sean? Tell me, Sean. Also, hey, you're my new law guy. You're welcome. Well, thank you. And lastly, cop ordering at Denny's became a new member. Do you understand what you clicked on when you clicked on that join as a member? Something to think about. A job well done says, oh, okay, now that's okay. A bunch of emojis I can't see. Nico says, sorry, Faye, I'm drinking. Ag says Biden is technically going after his own son. Yeah, but it's through the special counsel, so it's not technically. I mean, like, well, actually, yeah, kind of, but not the way we would want it to do. B. Husker says, I got 10 pounds fatter after I hit join. God, how many times did I hit the button? Charlie says, what do you mean by that? What do I mean by what? Chris says, what if I'm drinking guns and shooting liquor? Well, you're shooting liquor out of your vagina, like Nick thinks women can do. Because that'd be impressive. If you're drinking guns, your intestinal tract is very tough. Very, very tough. Chaucerian Fraud says, how much is convictions about justifying the Trump conviction, in your opinion? I think that's part of the reason why they're going after him to an extent, that they can say, look, see, we got him. They want to do the whole Reddit meme where it's like, oh, look at him. They want to do that. But this is like for the most ticky-tack bullshit ever. It's interesting, though, these gun control, crimes, which gun control is racist. Almost every gun law is racist, and it's either implementation or its underlying reasoning. They hit a lily white guy from a really good family. Most of the time, gun laws are enforced against minorities. Charlie says, by clicking the join button. Oh, to become a member. That's what I'm talking about. Clip that soy face. Yeah. I'm sure it will be. I hope Judge Cannon gets rid of the special counsels. Well, that's something that's coming on its own. We'll find out. Rat King says, do you think, and this, we'll move on from here. Do you think Hunter will get pardoned by Joe so it doesn't go to the Supreme Court? No. Well, it depends here. Here's how you have to think about this. This is not getting to the Supreme Court before the election. That's just not happening. The Third Circuit will have not made a ruling on this before the election. That's just the nature of it. Now if Joe Biden wins again, fuck, I really hope that doesn't fucking happen. Like, holy shit, that's not good. But let's say he does. Like, please don't let that happen. Please, God. Let's say he does. He could eventually it might be at that point getting to make its way to the Supreme Court because the Third Circuit will have made a ruling by then. Probably within a year or so from now to 18 months, they'll make a ruling. And yes, at that point, Joe could pardon him. He could also commute the sentence. And remember, commutation is merely running out the penalty provision. So if Hunter's put on probation, Joe could say your sentence is commuted. You're no longer any obligation to the court. But his conviction still stands, and he's still a convicted felon. Or Joe could give him a pardon. And at that point, a pardon is a full, it's a pardon. So Hunter would no longer be a convicted felon. He would still have a conviction on his record. So people could say he was convicted of federal gun crimes, but he's no longer prohibited or punished anymore. So that's kind of where things are. What do I think Joe gonna do? We won't know for a while anyway. Freeman Gutter saying win or lose, Biden's pardoning his son December of this year. I mean, yeah, I guess you could see that, but I mean, the one thing I think that creates a problem for Biden, and I think he understands this, is if he pardons Hunter now, then, he kind of has to pardon Trump because we've been screaming about following the law. Well, if he's going to use the law to help his own son out, kind of ruins everything for him. So he's going to have to let Hunter twist in the wind a little bit. But ultimately, it's not like Hunter's going to the Bureau of Prisons and Hunter comes out with tattoos all over his face and thug life or love and hate, all that, and swastika it out. Torgo says, are we going to cover the pistol brace law getting nuked from orbit? Yes. When that comes out, it didn't come out today. We're going to have to wait for next week. Christopher Dolan is saying POTUS does all their pardons at the end of their term, usually in the last 2 weeks. That's true. But he could do it at any time. Their tradition is you do it at the end. But it can happen anywhere. And I think one of the ones that there is not really a pardon, but Trump kind of shit canned the process was what happened to Eddie Gallagher, and Trump just said to the military, you're done prosecuting the guy, fuck off. So that happens that way. But yes, Biden could pardon Hunter at any time. He could pardon him right now. He could do it Monday morning. He could do it at any point he wants, as long as he holds presidential office. He could do it right before, the helicopter lands and Trump's team is about to take over. His last act in office, walking out the door, could be, I pardon Hunter, boom, done. Enters on the record. It's official. So, could be. Imagine Trump pardoning Hunter. That would be a baller move. That would be kind of funny. Ag saying, was the Eddie Gallagher thing a good idea? I have no idea. The way the government was prosecuting him was real shitty. I mean, surprised that the government's fucking around. But it doesn't sound like Eddie Gallagher was the nicest guy in the world either. He did stab a wounded guy, but from what I can tell. But the way the government did it, they deserve to get fucked. So it all worked out in the end. J-Rock says, I don't know if it's just the nation or just the Fifth Circuit. What? Oh. Little Dog is saying, didn't the Fifth Circuit vacate the pistol brace rule today? I actually didn't check this. I thought you were talking about the case that was in front of the Supreme Court with bump stocks. But But the pistol brace, I actually didn't check today because I was kind of busy. So I don't know the answer right now. If you want to tell me it was today, okay, cool. It was today, good. GOA has the posting for the pistol case. All right, perfect. Perfect. You know what? I'm gonna fire up Twitter here real quick. And my apologies. I feel like an ass for not staying on top of that, but I really feel like I kind of slacked their chat. My apologies. Okay, so yes, and this is from Firearms Policy Coalition, and yes, for Mock v. Garland, this is the pistol brace one in the Fifth Circuit. So it's in effect there, and there's a permanent injunction, but it vacates the final rule. So the injunction's gone because there's no more to do. So that's the good news for that. But I stroked out like Mersh there for a second. Yeah. Yes, I have actual clients to protect. Plus, I'm live streaming. Ag says, "Will we get Trump tomorrow? The immunity on his birthday." I don't think so. I don't think so. That's not. No, no. Danny's saying we might get a Rahimi decision tomorrow. Guys, I told you from listening to the Rahimi thing, that's a fucking shit case. That's gonna make bad. Rahimi's gonna be a disaster. It's gonna make really bad law. Rahimi's not the one that should have gone, but oh well. Oh well. Yes. Oh my god. Yes. As Mersh. So yeah, Toledo or Dayton, am I right? Yeah. All right. So guys, we're gonna move on, and this is something that I wanted to bring up because it's happening out in my neck of the woods. And you guys have probably seen some video about this. This is the stabbing that happened out here in the Cleveland area last week. And it's it's fucked up. So it's really weird. So this starts off with a lady named Bianca Ellis. She goes into a Volunteers of America, which is basically like Goodwill, and she steals a knife. And as the news is talking, they have video of her. Just check out what this lady does.
4 days later, Ellis is seen going to the Volunteers of America thrift store, where police say she stole 2 knives, then briefly stopped in bins and things before walking into.
And she's just walking around a shopping mall with a fucking knife in her hand. That's what she's doing. She is just walking around with a fucking knife in her hands, just ready to fillet people. Oh, it's not up. Hold on. Okay. 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 You got it. I understand there's a bit of a delay. Here we go, chat. You're tamped up. You're tamped up. Here you go.
4 days later, Ellis is seen going to the Volunteers of America thrift store, where police say she stole 2 knives, then briefly stopped in bins and things before walking into Giant Eagle. At 2:58, she walks past the service desk with the knife waving by her side, and no one appears to see it. Then we see her walking near the cash registers. Again, no one.
That is the thing I find absolutely mental about this. She is strolling through a big grocery store. This isn't like some mom and pop store. It's Giant Eagle. I don't know if you guys have them everywhere. It's like Kroger or Publix or Wegmans if you're one of those douchebags in New York. It's big. It's a big chain store. And she's just walking around with a butcher knife. And nobody in there is like, oh my God, I got to get away from this lady. Like if I was at the store, I'd had my fucking gun out. I wouldn't be pointing at her, but I'd have it down ready. And I'd be like, if she came towards me, I'd fucking shoot her. You know, somebody flailing their knife around. That's some fucked up shit, man. That is some fucked up shit. I'm not even talking about people being told not to interfere. I'm talking about the regular people just walking along. The normies are just like, burp, burp, burp. Like, oh my God. Yeah, this is Sounding Six says this is why I use Instacart. And yeah, 2.0 is a big fan of Instacart. And I'm like, after this, I'm like, I think it's cool we can get groceries, but it's like, holy shit, I don't want to go to the grocery store anymore. But watch the rest of this. Here we go. This is how fucked up it is.
We see her walking near the cash registers. Again, no one appears to see or react to the knife. She then passes Margot Wood and her 3-year-old son, Julian. Ellis immediately turns around and starts to follow them. Cameras show just before 3 p.m., Ellis walked
And it's like watching it's like watching the lion pick out a gazelle. It's fucking sad because you know it's coming.
into the lobby and follows behind the mother and son as they exit the store. Cameras then show her following them through the parking lot and to their car.
Somewhere near there.
And from there, she stabs the fuck out of him. Yeah. Did the store get sued? I mean, it just happened, so no. Yeah. Yeah, dude, I don't want to see this. Well, there's no video of her actually putting in work. There's no video of her actually putting in work. Did they survive? The mom survived. Her 3-year-old son did not. She stabbed him to death. He survived for like a couple hours, but then he died. Is it a death penalty case? Yeah, it's being... Her indictment contains the provision of, we're thinking about it. We might come back to... They put a placeholder in her indictment. That is what happened with... That is what happened with her indictment. And actually, hold on. Where did I... Her indictment contains the provision of, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. And it's like, but we don't have to right now, because they're saying they're reserving the right to indict her with the death penalty provision. And I'm going to bring that up so you guys can see her indictment. I forgot to put it up here. I know I didn't do something in time. So this is her indictment. So we'll get to the death penalty part where it's death penalty eligible. So, she's got count 1, aggravated murder. So an unclassified felony, meaning it's not a set term of years specifically, like the lower levels of felonies. And the issue is because she killed someone under the age of 13 with prior calculation and design, a 3-year-old boy. And then here, for those of you wanting the death penalty issue, this is where you get your this is where you get, if you want to see it and feel better about it. The state of Ohio reserves the right to seek a superseding indictment containing the appropriate revised code section 29.29.04A aggravating circumstances and specifications. And those are death penalty specifications. So this could be a capital murder case, but for right now it's not. But they're reserving the right. So that is what she's facing. And yeah. But with that being said, she did show up to court, and her court was something else. Boomer says, what are the requirements for not guilty by insanity in Ohio? Well, we don't, we're not like, I mean, all you have to do is initially say we want to evaluate it for competency and sanity. How do you... I guess, are you arguing, how does this work? It basically, if she gets found not guilty by reason of insanity, she's going to a mental hospital, for like a state mental facility that's a lockdown facility. So, she's kind of screwed even if she wins there. Now, what do you want to see as far as like the types of rules and things that are out there? Well, it's not really a diminished capacity defense. We don't have that. But they did not, you don't know the nature or the quality of the act you're doing, and that you didn't know you were doing was wrong. Okay? That's the test. It's called the McNaughton rule. That's what we use. We don't do like diminished capacities, and we're not like Idaho where there is none, because Idaho doesn't have an insanity defense. So, yeah. She looks like Grimace. Well, we're gonna cover her. This is her actual felony arraignment. This is at the courthouse in downtown Cleveland. So here we go. If you guys want to see her and just the way she's acting, is this a person who's crazy or a person who's a complete scumbag? It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell.
For Bianca Ellis.
Hello, Miss Ellis. Do you have an attorney? You do? Do you have the money or means to hire an attorney? Have you received your indictment?
I don't.
Okay. Have you read it? You have not read it. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think she's got the money to hire an attorney if she's stealing knives out of a Goodwill. But what do I know? What do I know? I think she's just being an ass at this point. Or as the Brits might say, taking the piss.
We have a copy here. You can read it.
I don't want to.
You don't want to read it. Are you willing to accept that the public defender has read it to you? I'm sorry. You asked her not to. Well, but she did read it to you, correct?
No.
She didn't read it to you. Okay, well, we can read it in open court.
And because she hasn't been read it by anybody, she has to have it read to her. So the court's doing this part to preserve the record. So we're going to skip this part.
Alleges that
We already know she charged with murder. She did all the things there. She committed felony murder. She feloniously assaulted a child. Like, we already know all this stuff. So we're going to skip ahead to the actual issues here. Now, they charge her with all these murders, but they charge her for the theft of stealing the knives from the store. So, that was kind of, it's kind of the funny part. But yeah, see, we skipped ahead a couple of minutes because we didn't need to hear all that. We already know what she's facing. Look at the stain. Yes. I can't read. Soul is saying, are those her boobs hanging down to her? Yes, those are. Yes. Yes. Is she whispering? Yeah. She's kind of, it's hard to tell if she's acting like a crazy person or not. So. Yeah, Rob, I agree. I think she's pretending, so. But let's get back to what she says here.
Now read the indictment to you. Do you wish to enter a plea of not guilty?
See.
Pardon me?
See.
What's same mean? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. I understand the victims are represented and they want to make a comment before I set bond. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Now, this is the dad of the kid. So, like, his wife got stabbed and his son got murdered. His actually pretty tough listening to him. And this is part of the victims' rights laws that are in effect now, that the victims had the right to speak at every hearing, and they have the right to speak about bond at the arraignment.
Okay. Good morning, sir. Could you start with your name?
My name is Jared Wood, father of deceased, husband of Margot. Your Honor, that day, 1 week ago, she took everything from us. There's nothing that could ever replace my son or anything that my wife and I, or even our other kids, are going through. It's horrendous. But I really wish no bail, period, or extend it to the max limit possible that you can, at the very least. Just do whatever you can to keep this monster behind bars.
Now, he has the right to say all this. The court is not bound to follow his recommendations. That's one of the things that being in court, when victims are speaking, they get a little upset when they, you know, they make a demand, and I've had to object to the things they've said or things they want to make happen, or when the prosecutor tries to impose the will of a victim into a courtroom. They are merely there to speak their mind. They have no advice, like they have no command. They have no authority. In this situation, I don't think this guy, he's suffered. He lost his wife. He lost his son. His wife is fighting for her life. And he's coming in here and actually doing it respectful. But sometimes some victims, they are just a mess.
Thank you, sir. Is there anything else you would like to say?
That'll be it. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I commend him on his poise. I mean, I bet he's still in a haze, but I commend him for that. And the way he conducted himself. I don't know if I could, Chad, I don't know if I could have done that. I don't think I could have done that.
Is there anything else before I pronounce bond?
Your Honor, we would just ask that you consider assigning the public defender's office, recognizing this is not our number. We did represent her at the first appearance unit. I did meet with her on Friday. We have had contact with her family and begun working on the case. Thank you, Your Honor.
When the original bond was set out of Muni Court, the bond was set at $1 million, and it was before the passing of one of the alleged victims. I do not believe that bond is appropriate given the change in circumstances and the allegations that are contained in this indictment. Bond is set at $5 million, cash, surety, or property. GPS, no contact with any surviving victim or victim's family, DNA order. Judge is John Russo. Pretrial is June 17th at 9 a.m.
I mean, so she's going in front of Judge Russo here in Cuyahoga County. It's not going to be a bad day. Yeah, she's very smug. I think it's, yeah. Why is there any bond? Well, if they set a bond, because that way they could say, look, see, she has a chance of getting out. Better call Sean. I mean, I am not death penalty certified in Ohio, so I couldn't take her case. Especially if there's the specter of the state putting in a death penalty specification and knowing they're reserving that right and they're kind of mulling it over. I think it'd be very unethical for me to take an appointment on that. And then let's say a month from now, they do indict her with the death penalty spec. And now I got to be like, well, Judge, I'm out. I don't think that's fair. I think that's an improper way of doing things, especially if you know it's coming. Now, I know you, oh God, you guys are talking a lot here. You're talking a lot here. I got to catch some of these. Senor Spielbergo is saying, you want a phase plasma rifle in the 40-watt range. I'd take one of those too. I'd take an M41. Reformed Convict is saying, I have done this same crime as Hunter, allegedly. But did you smoke crack while you're in Ukraine, funneling money to your dad? Not sand, ow. Are you saying like, not sand, ow? If it's getting like sand blasted at you? I would say, could you beat Earl Glanville in a wrestling match? I mean, probably. The guy's like probably in his 60s by now. Yeah, sure. Johan is saying, also, before I inevitably get banned from YouTube for something ridiculous, your mom's box, chat. If you're an Opie Nancy fan, you get that one. M Towers, thank you for the super chat, is saying, I thought the gun charges added on to the tax case against Hunter. Tax cases are in California. And I feel the prosecutor can use the plea to guarantee cooperation, but the judge refused the plea that would on the 4473 charge. Well, remember when this happened that for the gun case had like blanket immunity attached to it, and the defense pushed for it, and the prosecutors got kind of scared when all the news cameras are looking at them and their deal got blown up. So that's what happened there. Bob Dobbs says chat is upset. Yes, they are, but that's what chat does. Nicholas Kreuzer says all the little chicks with the metal strips go Cleveland Rocks. Yes, Cleveland Rocks. And Bob Dobbs says for $5, in all fairness, I try to ignore the presence of black people. Well, ignore the presence of crazy people at your own peril. Debbie O says she showed up for court. Does that mean she's out on bond? Let me guess, no bond. Well, she's in custody. She's been in custody. She didn't show up to court. We'll rewind this here. When you are in the Cuyahoga County Courthouse,
Case number 692.
and you come in from back there, that's not the voluntary entryway into a courtroom in Cleveland. Actually, that door back here, that's the way free people come in. That way is the way into custody. So that's why she wasn't coming in there free. Boomer says, yeah, how does it work in Ohio? In Nebraska, they get out. She won't get out. She would get out like 25 years from now, and then she'll be under court supervision till she dies. But no, for like the next 25 years minimum, she would be in a mental hospital. Zero Fuck says she's gonna file a writ of Shaniqua. J-Rock, Ben says J-Rock could fix her. He might. Hunch the Dirty Roofer says he gifted 10 memberships. Well, Hunch, thank you for your generosity and your support. I appreciate it. Ronnie says show her posing for the paparazzi in the press. Well, yeah, she's kind of like, yeah. Trust Area Fraud saying, did she steal the car? Well, no. She stabbed him and then walked off. What was the objective? To kill someone. I mean, I'm betting that's if you asked her. Oh, I bet if you asked her, she's like, well, I don't know. I don't really know what I was doing. But I'm sure at the time she's like, fuck, kill someone. I mean, sometimes there is no answer to the crimes. It's just meh, watching the world burn. Bass says, keep her behind bars but not behind a bra. Yeah, they took the bra away from her. M Towers, and he's saying, when it comes to death penalty, what is your opinion on governors signing death warrants? Do they sign too few? Yeah, I think, like, if we did it like Texas, I don't think that'd be a bad idea. And I do support the death penalty. Yes, I don't think it's used often enough, and I mean, she should get it. I think she perfect candidate for it. Osmosis Jones says, imagine the smell. Well, I mean, it's jail anyway, so you're not going to get you don't get to shower all the time anyway, but yes, I'm sure she is not the nicest smelling person in the world. And Bad Weather Biker for $20. Thank you. It's good to see you. It's been a little while. Hope you're well. Is saying her lawyer fair and balanced sister, fair and legal. She's in the public defender's office. I don't actually know her, but the public defender's office of Cuyahoga County is very good at what they do. They are actually very, some places might suck out there. The office in Cuyahoga County is really, really, really good. I mean, the ones that do juvenile court, the ones that do some of the municipal courts, and then the ones that do common pleas court, they defend the public fairly well, I would argue. Yeah, so her bond's $5 million. Sounding Sixes, don't defend this one, Sean. She deserves no rights. Honestly, though, you know what? I would do it. I would do it if she came to if they called me and said, Sean, would you do it? And I was qualified to do it. Hell yeah, I'd do it. Hell yeah, I'd do it. I'd do what I could. If there was a way I could get all the evidence suppressed and let her walk out the door, that's what I would do, because that's what you have to do. You have to represent your client and put him in the best position possible. And maybe that means she walks away. maybe that's what she needs. So now one of you was saying, hold on here, I need to bring this up. Eric Cush's, how do you get death penalty certified? Well, there's actually rules on that in Ohio. And we have like actual certifications for this. So this is the certification of counsel for death penalty cases. This is a 29-page document from the Supreme Court of Ohio. Okay. So how do you get certified? General certification requirements. And I'll run this through real quick. I know a lot of you guys might not care, but we'll talk about it real quick. Prior to appointment as counsel for an indigent defendant, and this is only for indigent defendants, I could represent, if somebody were to hire me and put like $100,000 in my trust account, I could defend them right now in a death penalty case. I wouldn't take it because I'm definitely not. That is something I would think would be, in all fairness, a little bit out of my league. But I'd be willing to be a second chair on that to get some experience. So how does this work? An applicant shall possess, and this is just to be an applicant for certification. You're in the state of Ohio or Pro Hoc Vice. You've demonstrated commitment to high quality legal representation in the defense of capital cases. You got knowledge of relevant state laws, procedures. You're skilled in the management of negotiation and litigation. You're skilled in legal research, analysis, and drafting of documents. You have great oral advocacy skills. You're skilled in the use of expert witnesses. You understand forensics, fingerprints, ballistics, arson, pathology, and DNA evidence. Your skill in investigation and preparation of mitigating evidence. You have skill in preparation on presenting mental status of people. And you have skill in trial advocacy, jury selection, cross-examination. All those things. Now here's the actual qualifications. If you want to be the lead counsel for a capital murder case, you have to be 5 years of litigation in Ohio courts, or some criminal appellate experience, meaning you're doing appeals. You experience as lead counsel in the trial of at least one capital case. You have experience as trial counsel in 2 capital cases, so co-counsel. Or you might possess these. You've been the lead trial counsel in a jury trial of at least one murder or aggravated murder case in the 10 years prior to making the application. So I have I have an aggravated murder case, but we're not going to go to a jury trial. That's the big thing, a jury trial. So that wouldn't count for me. Experience as lead trial counsel in 3 aggravated first or second degree felony jury trials in a courtroom pleas in 5 years prior to making the application. I have, going back now, I think, hold on here, 6 years. I have one that's 6 years old. So I have a first degree life case that I tried last year. And then the year before that, I had a second degree felony I tried. And I had one that was probably going to go in that same year last year, but the guy pled out. So that's my issue right there. That's the big one. I have a bunch of them, but after a while they kind of push out and they don't come in right away. And that becomes an issue. I got a bunch of trials in all kinds of areas, but that's where it becomes the issue there. And the one just leaked out that way. So hopefully I can get some more experience in the meantime, but that doesn't mean I will ever push my clients to trial to gain experience, because that's not how that's meant to happen. So if you guys are wondering, 2.0's home. That's how that works. Whatever. Annie says, how do you defend her? Certainly, you'd be making an argument for she's not competent to stand trial. You'd make it not guilty by reason of insanity. You'd be doing all that stuff. Those are the big things. And let's say you lose on those and you send her out and the shrink says she's not crazy. Then you're going to have to get to, can you get her to just be charged with murder and plea out to the murder offense instead? Because that's the goal now. is trying to get her out of aggravated murder territory. And let's say the prosecutor doesn't want to cut a deal and it's a death penalty case and you go to trial. At that point, being convicted is not the goal, or not guilty is not. You're going to go for it, but you're probably going to lose. The goal at that point is to avoid the death penalty. In most capital murder cases, getting the life without parole, LWOP, that's the victory. Keeping that person from getting executed is the victory. I'm surprised they didn't ROR and give her a Subway gift card. Well, yeah. Benjamin Lewis says it would be unethical because you're a blogger. Actually, that wouldn't be an issue as long as I didn't cover it or talk about it. I would do it. Derper says, what does it mean to be death penalty certified? I hope that kind of went through it. I hope that kind of explains it. Just that the Supreme Court has determined you're eligible to represent indigent defendants in a case. Wrestler Town says, yes, read Steve Gosney's death penalty books, including Death Penalty Debates, Maximum Due Process. That's coming out soon. Kia Pathak says, are clients like this why you hide knives in the bushes outside the courthouse? No. That's not why I hid the knife. I hid the knife because I had it on me and I couldn't bring it in. I didn't want to get arrested. Oh, Legal Mindset. How you doing? And while we're, we got Legal Mindset here, just in your honor, Andrew.
Legal Mindset. Legal dick suckers, more like it.
Oh. Yes, Legal Mindset. Yes. Otto saying, so you got felt. Well, no, but Ralph did it technically. Oh, what are you guys talking about here? How do you identify as a social media video blogger? Robert says, I wonder if a trial will be broadcast. Probably will be. If she goes to trial, I definitely think it'll be broadcast. I don't know about nationwide, like Law and Crime will pick it up, but the local affiliates here in Cleveland actually do cover a lot of trials, especially in Cleveland. I think this one they'll definitely cover. So it'll be very interesting. Yes. Hold on, here is TC says, Rage Pig always delivers. Katie says, I could be Turtle Boy this time. Yeah, that'd be funny. That would be funny. Yes. All trials should be broadcast. They should. But for right now, there's an increase, and that's good enough. Distance says, when we get in the Nick body cam vids, I don't know. Hopefully soon. So we can see. 710 people watch it, guys. Thank you all for being here. I'm assuming some of you guys are like a mindset raid, so thanks for being here, guys. Now, let's move on. We've covered all that stuff. We've got interesting things in... Well, we'll do a Karen Reed update. Karen Reed is in the middle of trial. Things are progressing. I know people are like, oh, there's been bombshells. I'm like, I think Karen's team is fighting back quite a bit. I'm still not convinced she did anything wrong. I'm still not I'm not even just saying the state can't prove it. I don't think she did anything. So what does that mean? How did John O'Keefe die? I don't know. I assume, they killed him in the house or beat him up really bad and threw him out in the snow. And I'm assuming it, I don't know. I mean, who knows what they were fighting over? Less filling tastes great. I mean, we don't really know. We don't really know. Do we really know? No, we never do. Hold on. Where are we at? I want to chat here. Sorry, I lose it because I got too many tabs going all at once. Hold on, chat. 1 second. What were you saying?
Isn't your heat allergy bothering you? It's 80 degrees in this house.
No, I think it's fine. I got the fan going. I'm
Lord.
okay. I love you, Mo Sherry. Mwah. I don't know. Oh, hold on. Wait. Did you put the air on? Okay, I got to close my window. Okay. I actually think it was fine. I was getting a nice breeze and everything. Yeah, there's no heat allergies here. Yes. 2.0 in Clyde. Yes. My lovely future Mrs. Martin 2.0. I have a heat allergy like Nick. No, I'm just a fat sack of shit. That's no, I just don't like the heat because I'm fat. But other than that, I'm okay. So Sarah Boone, America's sweetheart. We all love her. And for those of you who don't know who Sarah Boone is, well, Sarah Boone is a woman in Florida who is alleged to have murdered her boyfriend in a very unique way. In a very, very unique way. And I say that because it really is unique. It's actually kind of weird. So if you guys don't know who Sarah is, Sarah was hanging out with her boyfriend, and at some point, somehow, her boyfriend, who was a very small man, was put into the suitcase while he was conscious and highly intoxicated. And Sarah sat on a couch, and YouTube will demonetize me if I play the video, so I can't play the video right now. But if you go out and Google it on YouTube, you can find it. You can hear in the suitcase, like shuffling around, and he's trying to move, and he's begging for help that he can't breathe, and he died of positional asphyxiation. And so she's been charged with murder. Now, there's a lot of issues about, that's like the 10,000 foot view of everything. And this is Sarah today. Sarah's been incarcerated for nearly 4 years now in jail awaiting trial. And she's a bit of a grumpy pants. And why is Sarah a bit of a grumpy pants right now? Well, because there's issues about her getting a new trial. Or getting a new attorney. And Sarah is on attorney number 8. She has a habit of filing letters where she doesn't like the attorneys. They aren't doing what she wants. And these attorneys are very good at just pulling the handles and just ejecting. And they get out. And they get out every time. Sarah looks like well, I mean, that's going to happen when you're in jail. Yes, a Rakata-sized man. Well, not well, I mean, in probably body weight, but not in height. Nick lost weight so he could fit in a suitcase. Yes. Sarah's 1,000% going to get convicted. Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Anonymous is saying, that's Noel's mom. Oh. So Sarah has been charged with the murder, and this case has been dragging on. And yes, J-Rock, how many lawyers now? 6 or 7? She's on lawyer number 8. Ocho. You know, or Unda Toa. Wheat, if you're French. Sorry, it took me a second to remember that. So she had a hearing again because guess what? She was not happy with her attorney. So we're going to listen to this because she's holding in her hands right here a 56-page letter for the judge about why she's mad. Now, we're not going to read that part. We're going to look at from her attorney speaking, and then we're going to listen to Sarah speak. And this happened this past week. So here we go.
Ms. Cashman?
Judge, I've obviously not seen the letter. Ms. Boone is correct. She has walked out of the last 2 visits when I've tried to review things with her. Just so the court knows, I've spent probably 20 hours, a little bit more, a little bit less, with Ms. Boone. She has lots of lists, lots of questions, in reviewing the court file, she was distressed previously about having access to her lawyers. I have taken collect phone calls from her that are at my expense. JAC doesn't reimburse you because I think it's important for clients to have access. I have
Hang on,
spent,
please. No one's interrupted you this morning, Ms. Boone.
as I said, I've spent over 20 hours going through her questions, going through her list. When I tried to update her.
Now, I will point out for here in Ohio, if you are court appointed, you don't get reimbursed for the phone calls either because those are expensive as hell. Now, every once in a while, I will take one if it's like an emergency, but generally speaking, I don't take them because I tell my clients, if you want to get a hold of me, it's like the phone gets up and it's like, hello, you have a collect call from Nick, an inmate at the Candioi County Jail. Please press 1 to accept this call. Now, what is that? What do I do with that? I usually tell people, if you call me and I figure out who it is calling me, I will come see you within a day or two or, that week, and we'll talk about what's going on or find out what's going on, or I'll reach out to your family. And even if you're somebody I'm representing and I've been retained on, I'm not just going to eat the call cost either. So I still do that. Give me a couple days, I'll come out to see you. Or if I'm in town where you're at, I'll see you. But every once in a while, you get people who, when they do their recording voice, they're like, you have a collect call from, it's your lovely baby boy, because they're talking to their mom or their girlfriend, or it's like, baby, I love you. And you're like, I don't know who the fuck this is. So click. And that happens all the time. Yes, she has not, guys, the 56-page like schizo rant has not been released real quick, and I'll show you. Here is the here's the court website. That's not down here in the documents that are available. If it does come out though, oh my God, we are going to look at it. And Andrew, I might, if you want to, you'd be happy to join us because that will be all kinds of fun to read. That will be all kinds of fun to read. Ultimately there. So just so you understand why she's saying she's not picking those up, I don't blame her because I wouldn't be doing that either. That's a lot of freaking money. That's a lot of freaking money. And bye-bye Court TV logo. Get rid of that. So let's listen to the rest of the issues here. If I had it, I would do it. JRX says, read the letter, Sean. What are you hiding? Hiding everything. I'm Boone guarding chat. I'm Boone guarding. I'm Boone maxing all the way. Lineset said it's Florida, my local jurisdiction, registered with the Orange and Osceola County bars. Yes. So let's see what we have here.
With regard to the depositions that I took recently, she opted to exit the jail conference. When I tried to review some things with regard to discovery as to things I wanted to make sure she was aware of, she walked out. She has asked me repeatedly for a copy of some medical records. Based on the discovery I got from the previous attorneys, one of the copies of those medical records had her handwritten notes. So she had a copy given to her previously. She'd reviewed them with previous attorneys. I sent her a new copy. Some of the things that she thinks are important from a lawyer perspective, perhaps I don't attach the same importance to, and you try to explain that to a client. I know the court's in a difficult position, but at this point, we're at that.
And that's a common thing, guys. Any type of client I've had, this is always an issue. Well, I think this is important. And you try to explain to them, but it's not. Especially like, think about it. You're in jail. You're fighting for your freedom. You understand it's a really bad spot. And people like Sarah think, oh my God, you need to look into this. And she's probably tried to tell her, no, that's not important. Now, if you're doing this the proper, I wouldn't say the proper way, but the way I try to do it is I explain to you why it's not important. And sometimes people still don't get it and they're just idiots or asses. I don't know. But I have a feeling even this attorney said, Sarah, what you're trying to do doesn't matter and it doesn't work. And Sarah seems to be just that bit of crazy or that stubborn. She's not getting it.
The impasse of if she walks out of every conference that I have with her, I'm not sure what that says about the attorney-client relationship.
Ma'am, you said there was something else that you had other than a 58-page submittal or letter. What other information is it that you're seeking to have me take a look at?
It's things that I've been working on in the meantime. It's things that she likes to tell me is not necessary, but I know for a fact it is necessary. She likes to, in quotes, put things to rest all the time and constantly tells me I'm not having this conversation with you. So I'm not going to.
Sarah, honey, she's probably telling you it's not important because it's not important. I'm just thinking, I'm like I said, guys, I'm Ed Sheeran. I'm just thinking out loud. She's telling you it's not important because it's not important. They're trying to tell you that and you won't listen. So is Sarah going to get it? No, I think Sarah's been busy drinking the dumb fuck juice, guys.
Waste my time, and I, being in jail, have supposedly abundant amounts of. She's not going to waste my time because she's not going to explain something to me. And I have taken it upon myself to explain it to myself because she refuses to do so. I don't understand.
I'm sure those explanations you've given yourself are top-notch legal analysis.
What it is that she has against me. I have told her from day one that her snotty attitude was inappropriate, and I try very hard to bear with her and her attitude. I don't know what it is that I'm doing wrong to her, but I feel that her attitude has equaled prejudice, which is not in my favor, especially considering she's supposedly representing my life.
Okay. Give me an example of, if you could, of items that.
Now this here, well, she's just snotty with me and I don't like her attitude. I bet Sarah has to speak to the manager a lot. And yes, somebody like Sarah is going to be a very high maintenance client. That I think everybody goes in, like, I don't think any of these attorneys have been taken aback by that. But she is just, I would argue at this point, especially what she's doing now, it's just clear she's just very unreasonable. And she probably doesn't want to accept the reality. She's probably toast.
You believe are important that Ms. Cashman is not giving attention to or dismissing as you may have framed it?
Yes, Your Honor. She likes to tell me that I don't like her answers. She's not giving me any answers to dislike, and I have written 3 pages worth of questions, and I'm still waiting for her and any other attorney to actually answer for me, such as, why can't I have a bond? Why can't I have a download of my phone? Why can't I speak to my investigator? Why can't I have my medical records? Why can't I fully utilize my constitutional rights? There's 3 pages worth of questions that I have.
What constitutional rights specifically?
I'm very, very.
What? Yes, my rights. Well, which rights? You know, those rights. Yeah, those rights.
About having a fair trial at this point. There's a handful of other amendments that I have been researching and working on and trying to incorporate. To me,
there's a handful of amendments I'm trying to research and incorporate. Okay, Sarah. Well, we'll let you cook, but I don't know what you're cooking here.
What I have written to you is obvious, and apparently from the correspondence that I get from the world, South Korea was the last place that I received correspondence. They obviously see the same thing. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong other than wanting to have a very successful outcome. It's just been long and drawn out, and I believe that God obviously believes in me as much as I do him in order to give me this very unique adventure that I am on, and I'm doing my best to let everyone know who I really am as opposed to the malicious murderer that everyone thinks that I am. I don't feel that she can do that properly. I still always, the reason why I'm here is hope. Is to hope that she will come in with a gentle, softer side and actually listen to what it is that I'm saying and see the bigger picture other than what the one avenue that she keeps going down.
And this is the problem, you know. I'm sure the attorney has listened to her, and she's like, look, she's like, look, it doesn't work. What you're saying is stupid. And I'm sure she's been very nice about it. But after a while, you're like, look, it's not going to fucking work. And I've had clients like this. Well, I want to do X. I'm like, no, we're not doing X. Why not? Because I'll get in trouble. It's against the rules. It's not going to work. You know, but this idea, she's like, she wants me to be nice and calm. And even if that lady came in there and like popped the Valium before she came in, listened to her, was like nice and calm. She's like, Sarah, it's not going to work. I'm sure Sarah would be flying off the handle and acting like a spaz, regardless. So just a hunch, chat. But I do think it's interesting.
There's other ways to win and more than one way. I'm not sure what
There aren't, Sarah, you don't have other ways to win other than not guilty by reason of insanity. And you're probably not going to win that. There is no other way. Maybe the battered spouse thing will work, but I highly doubt it. You're going away forever is the most likely outcome here. Let's be real. Let's be real. I mean, there's no more time for this. Like,
let's be honest.
You know, you got to be honest, Sarah. And I don't think reality is set in for her yet.
I'm not saying that I'm trying to remove her. I'm just trying to ask you, please, forgive me for having to ask you for this. If you could please let her know, please, to just be nice to me and have a welcoming attitude, and things will probably change, and I will not get up and I walk out. Please don't lie to me. Please don't give me half-truths. And
What instances where there's been falsities or lies that have been told to you by Ms. Cashman? Can you give me an example?
my biggest one, Your Honor, is for me being here ongoing 5 years, no one has ever bothered to try to get me a bond.
What's the lie? You said that she has lied to you. What is the lie?
The process of getting a bond. She lied to my brother in regards to telling him that he would come down to the courthouse to have multiple photographs taken for documentation. He would have to bring the security information, deeds to his house, financial statements, so on and so forth. And the icing on the cake was to be aware of all of the news camera crews and everyone that's going to be there in order to document him being there to do what he's going to for the bond. What is a bondsman for? She's supposed to just do the motion for the bond, and then from there, the bondsman and I.
And this is when I've had this issue before where clients like, oh, well, he's lying to me or he's not doing something I want. And the judge is going to inquire. Okay, what? And this is where you like, it happens all the time. Okay, well, what is he not doing that you want to do? And then they go through and say it. And the judge is like, yeah, I've had a client before. He's like, I want him to do X, Y, and Z. And the judge says, he can't do that. That's against the rules. Like he would lose his law license. You know, or the judge says, or the guy's like, I want to do X, Y, and Z. And the judge's like, no, he can't. So, and then you get at times where they've just got these completely insane understandings of stuff. And they're like, well, judge, I was told he could do blah, 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 blah. And he's telling me no. And I know he's lying. And the judge says, no, he's telling you the truth. So this is Sarah trying to lash out, and she's, just burning, like just Windows is going in there loading the whole time.
Whomever else are to work it out.
So what part of that is a lie?
I just simply wanted to have her do a motion for a bond hearing.
But the statement that you said is that Ms. Cashman, who's an officer of the court, has lied to you. What you've provided me so far is not evidence of any lies based on the severity of the charge.
And that's the point. When people and this is probably frustrating for someone like Sarah. She makes a claim, and the judge is like, but they're not lying. She's trying to represent you. She's trying to help you. You may not like what's happening, but that's a separate problem. That is a separate problem. And as far as bond is considered, she's probably going to have a bond that's really high, or they may not give her a bond. They can not give her a bond if they think she's a flight risk, which I bet she probably is, but they don't have to, like, the court could set a bond of like $5 million, or they could say no bond. We think you're a flight risk.
I believe, because she's not fully explaining to me other than what she's asking for that I tried to provide to her, was that I just need to give her an address. And that's what I gave to her. And then it turns into everything else. And then it turns into all these other different stories of why she won't do or why she has said certain things. And all this changes and it mutates after I ask her for certain things, not just for the bond, but for other things also.
Okay, well, let's focus on the bond issue, because you said that she's lied to you, and what you've told me so far, none of that is inaccurate.
So how is it though, because I don't have any experience prior to this, I don't know the process of getting a bond other than what I have read, and it's just for her to do a bond, a motion for a bond hearing. But I didn't know that anyone, all of the other inmates, even officers, have ever said that they've had to do that process in order to have photographs taken and documented and news crews and visits to his house. He's not posting my bond, which I told her 1,000,001 times, but she still spooked him by asking by him something that he's going to have to, and it would threaten his security clearance considering he's in the service, the military. So she totally deterred me from having my brother's address in order for me to have a motion for a bond. No one else.
And yeah, that could affect it. Yes, having a convicted, like having an alleged murder in your house, if you have a security clearance, could be a bad idea.
Has even bothered to even ask me for one, and I will be honest with you in the court. I know for a fact with however sky high my limit would be for my bond to receive, I know for a fact unless my fans would set up GoFundMe pages or God's will or however else it is he planned on for me to have it paid, if at all, my point is to utilize my rights to have a bond. And with the information I have included in here to you, for the amount of saturation of publicity, there's nowhere that I could go, even if I were to be an in quotes flight risk, because of the amount of information that everybody already knows about me, what I love.
I don't think I would ever make that. That's not an argument I'd make, Sarah. I understand what you're trying to say. Even if I tried to run away, people would know who I am. It's like, I don't know if that's really a good one. So even if I did run away, I would never want that argument to come out. But I get what she's trying to get at, though.
Right, and what I eat apparently, and so many other things, there's nowhere I could go if I were to even think about being a flight risk. It's just the fact that I would like police to have a bond so I can say that I actually achieved something while I was incarcerated.
Okay.
There's other things, there's so many other questions that I have to ask.
Which are outlined in your submittals there, right?
That's right.
Okay, all right. Ms. Cashman, briefly.
Judge, there's clearly a conflict with what I'm going to tell you are false allegations Ms. Boone is making about me, and my continued representation of her. As I said, I've spent 20 hours with this client going over her questions and her issues.
That may not seem like a lot, Chap, but that's 20 hours of sitting in the jail. That 20 hours on a client is a lot of time.
In detail. With regard to the brother and the bond hearing, yes, I contacted the brother. I explained to her brother and I explained to her. You can't just write a bond motion and the judge grants it because of the allegations. You have to come forward with proof. I asked her brother if he was willing to come to court and testify. He raised the issue to me about his security clearance and would the media be there. I never told him he had to provide pictures or a deed to a house. What I said was, the media's been in the courtroom for all the hearings, and it's likely that they would be there for the bond hearing, and that your face could be on the television, and it was a concern for him. And I'm gonna just leave it at.
So with that, chat, that was a couple of days ago, and then from there, well, filed on the 11th, we get this. We got this, chat. Uh-oh. I think you guys kind of have an idea where it's going. And yes, kind of like, it's not a shocker. Not a shocker. Except this time, Sarah isn't firing her attorney. On the 11th, her attorney is firing her. So, State of Florida versus Sarah Boone. Defense counsel Patricia A. Cashman, Esquire, respectfully moves this honorable court to enter its order allowing said counsel to withdraw from further representation. Now, she does state, as grounds therefore, or for cause, she states that she was appointed on February 9th. The trial is set for October 7th, 2024. And the Florida rules, the Florida bar rules regulating conflicts of interest. It says with current clients representing adverse interests, except as provided in subdivision B, a lawyer must not represent a client if there is a substantial risk that the representation of one or more clients will be materially limited by the lawyer's responsibilities to another client, a former client, or third person, or by a personal interest of the lawyer. Okay. Irreconcilable differences, including, but not limited to, ethical considerations have arisen such that counsel can no longer provide representation. And this one here, irreconcilable differences, is typically what is cited when in the criminal cases. Well, and that's generally one of the big ones anyway. For most attorneys, it's irreconcilable differences. They want to do something and I don't want to do it. They want me to do X and I keep telling them it's retarded. It won't work. That's what you're stuck with. That's what you're stuck with. That happens quite a bit. There's also times where there's a breakdown in the attorney-client relationship that it's so hostile and fighting. There's too much acrimony there. It's too antagonistic. That'll happen. So she respectfully requests the Honorable Court to allow her to withdraw from further representation. And this is filed June 11th. And she has asked to get out. Now, when we go back to this, what do we see so far? Well, we see the motion to withdraw was filed, but there's still no updates because the pretrial and then the trial dates are still set, and there's nothing new. There's no order granting it, anything like that. So Sarah is we're kind of in a holding pattern with Sarah. We'll find out soon. I'm sure this is it. I think for Sarah, this is it. I think Sarah is now on the pro se train. I don't know if this judge is going to give her another attorney. She's already had a bunch. And he's probably going to say, look, you shot your shot. Congratulations. It's now on you. So that is, I think that's it for Sarah. I think she's on her own. I do. I truly do, chat. Yeah, she packed her bags. Toto Vader says, can we be forced into pro se? Yes, eventually. If you keep rejecting attorneys, the court could say, sorry. It's either you work with Patricia Cashman and you shut the fuck up, or you're on your own. I mean, how many attorneys could you get? 15, 20, 30? No. At some point, she's pissed away. It's on her own. Would they give her standby counsel? I think so. If I was the judge, I would appoint. If I was the judge, I would appoint standby counsel to avoid issues of reversal. Because let's say she gets in the middle of a trial and she wants to bail, standby counsel could take over. So that's how I would handle it if I were them. We don't know if that's going to happen yet, so we'll try. I mean, at some point it will happen. Can the public defender's office refuse to represent her? They already had to conflict out early on because they found out there was some conflict between, I think, her and her boyfriend at the time. So they had to leave, and that was like attorney number one, and they realized like we can't do the case. So the public defender's already conflicted out. What if she absolutely refuses to represent herself? Well, you mean if she doesn't want to do it, and the court's like, well, you're going to have an attorney. I don't want an attorney. Well, you're kind of going to have a trial where she just sits there and, if she just sits there and, I'm not saying nothing. I mean, you might have that theoretically. That would be a really awful thing for her to do, but I could see it. I could see it. So where are we? Okay, so we got some things to catch up on here. Skeeve Man for 10 pounds sterling. The King Sterling says, recent sub, you really stream a lot. And sometimes I do, sometimes not. I'm suffering from insomnia right now, so it's nice to have a stream at night to get me through. By the way, my name's was Skyveman. Okay. Well, thank you. But yeah, depends. I mean, sometimes we hit it really hard, sometimes we don't. I mean, the Karen Reed trials go in full speed, and then when like the Young Thug stuff kind of happens, yeah, there's like we're definitely going to do stuff to follow up on it. That's a shame, is saying. Also, thank you, Skyman, for your super chat. That's a shame, is saying. Remember when you took her side through the first 5 attorneys? I told you her crazy ass was the problem. Game recognizes game. Yeah, you're right. How dare I not see crazy? I'm glad your radar was working. Oh, thank you for the super chat. James Olin says, which constitutional rights? And he's like, the ones we don't talk about. And Mindset says, I can't fix her legally or personally. That sounds like someone who's given up before you even try. Porcelain Thunder says, constitutional rights. Quick, get Barnes down there. Yeah. Hella, Excited Utterance. Hella, how are you doing, guys? Excited Utterance, she has a great channel. She does Hearsay for Days every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern. And she does that from Australia. So she's in the future and upside down in the middle of winter. And she still gets information out to you guys in the middle of summer. It's crazy. And her birthday is this weekend. Happy birthday, Hella. See, my producer's great. Bedweather Biker says, who's going to play Sarah in the Sarah Boone story on the Lifetime channel? That would be funny as hell. I don't know. I don't know who they'll pick. And Bass says, spattered blouse, pattered blouse. Yes. When we were talking about the battered spouse defense is probably what Sarah's going to try to argue. I kind of had like a bit of a stroke episode there. Couldn't say it. So in response to that, in the merch store, which you could find down below at Teespring, there's a list of possible defenses for Sarah Boone. And that was one of the options there. You can get the smattered louse, the rattled grouse, the spattered blouse, or the battered spouse. And, actually found the right one there. So I may as well shill. I may as well shill while I'm doing this. You guys can find it there. Oh, and that's down, and like I said, the link's down below for the merch. There's all kinds of stuff, even like Clyde stuff, if you guys are liking Clyde. And speaking of Clyde, well, I got him here. Clyde. Oh, here he comes. Click clack. Everybody. Hey. Hey. Ah. You guys haven't seen him today, so I want you guys to let you know he's alive. If you guys are new, this is Clyde. Clyde the dog. Little dog ASMR. You all set, buddy? That's all I got. I'm gonna let you go back to 2.0, okay? Wow. I'm just glad you don't smell like pee today. Because that is his thing. He likes to roll around in the pee spots outside in the yard. It's weird. Weird dog. Yes, 20 hours is a half a work week. Yep. And Hella says, imagine talking to her for 20 hours. That would be fucking awful, I bet. Really would be. You just got here in time for Clyde. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, chat likes to see a proof of life for him. He's the best doggo ever. And also, if you guys become a member in chat, you can use Clyde emojis. Like Ron A using the Clyde emoji. So, guaranteed Sarah has a cell to herself. I can't imagine being stuck with her. That would drive me crazy. So, we'll find out what happens with Sarah Boone. I mean, there's only so much that can happen at this point, chat, but it will be interesting. Moving on, we've got the Young Thug saga. And you guys remember Young Thug is the rapper down in Hotlanta who is accused of running a gang and is facing a RICO case, prosecuted by the esteemed Fannie Willis and her team of all-stars. Well, we are on June 13th, and we are at day 91 of a trial that started January 4th. Now, some of you might think, well, that's almost 180 days. And you'd be correct. It's also a trial where it took almost a year to pick the jury. And it's also a trial that's expected to go till about 2025. I'm not joking. Now, earlier this week, news came out that one of the witnesses who had refused to testify was in an illegal ex parte hearing with the judge, the prosecution, and his attorney. And the defense counsel, all the defense attorneys were not notified of it. And Young Thug's attorney, Brian Steele, who is just a straight gangster, called the court out and accused them of breaking the rules. And the judge, in anger, held him in contempt ultimately because he refused to disclose how he learned about the ex parte hearings. And ex parte hearings are hearings where the one party is not present. In this situation, the defendant or his attorneys were not made privy to this conversation that happened with a witness who was refusing to testify. As things have come out, we've learned that this witness basically was subject to witness tampering and intimidation by the judge and the prosecution. So the judge held Brian Steele, the attorney for Young Thug, in contempt and threatened to jail him. If you guys want to go back and watch those videos, you guys can learn about it. For Brian Steele, his case ended up getting his appeal for this, got to the Supreme Court of Georgia, and in the meantime, they have granted him a bond in the order holding him in contempt. As a result, the enforcement of the trial court's order has stayed pending the resolution of the appeal. So for right now, Young Thug's attorney is not going to have to worry about what's going on. The enforcement of the court's order isn't going to happen. So he's doesn't have to worry about going to jail. And there's going to be more and more work done to probably figure out what this judge and the other parties did. Now, with that being said, there was some actual fireworks today that happened in trial. And those are actually pretty funny. And I wouldn't say funny, but they're actually very impressive what happened. So we'll first start off with what happened with this guy right here is Kenneth Copeland. He goes by the name Lil Woody. He's the guy that has caused all of this crap to happen. He's been on the stand since Monday. And he's allegedly going to tell the prosecutors who in Young Thug's group was involved in a murder of somebody, and that murder is the foundation of the RICO offenses. But just listen to this guy right here. This is absolutely, imagine you're the prosecutor in a big trial like this, and this witness starts going this way. Just, this is just beautiful. Here we go.
Do you recall telling Detective Gaither in a little more detail that you walked up and you tried to dap up Kel, but he did not grab your hand?
I'm not walking up, down nobody up.
Do you remember saying to Detective Gaither, so they walked up like, is it good, bro? I'm like, yeah, all good. I reached out the other hand, but he didn't grab my hand.
I don't recall saying it.
Okay. Do you recall seeing an individual named Pokey at Club Crucial on this same night where Kel punched you in the back of the head?
Okay, let me make myself clear, right? Because you keep asking me about things I don't told investigators in the past. I can't say from when to when, but so much was going on. My name was on everything. The police kept coming to grab me. Every time they grabbed me, I had a different story for them. I know 100% facts, and I'm telling you now, I was not truthful. I was saying whatever they wanted me to say. I was saying whatever I could come up with. I was trying my best to convince them that I didn't do nothing, that I'm an innocent person, and that people put their hands on me. When they ask me about any of these things, you sitting here keep asking me step by step by step by step. And I'm telling you now, because you asked me, was I being truthful? Okay. I know I wasn't being truthful.
So is your testimony today that you lied in every interview that you did in 2015?
See, you the way you asked me that, I don't recall what I was saying in the interviews, but I'm telling you now, when they was questioning me, 2015, 14, whenever they was questioning me, I was lying. I was making up stories. So when they were asking me about this right here, I was making it up. When they were asking me about this right here, I was making it up. And when they was getting me and they were letting me go, I'm just telling you.
Do you recall telling every detective?
Every time they got me, I have told the police, I tell y'all whatever y'all want to hear, just let me go.
Do you recall telling every detective in every interview, you got to believe me, I'm telling y'all the truth? Okay.
That sound like me.
Do you recall telling every detective in every interview that you can go fact check what I'm telling you?
Say that again?
Sure. Do you recall telling every detective in every interview that you had
Now, I mean, imagine that. He's like, I just lied and said I said whatever I had to say to protect my ass. That is brilliant. This guy, this Judge Glanville, and these prosecutors are probably going to face bar discipline for this son of a bitch who basically admitted he's lying to protect his friends. It is not trustworthy. Regardless, the next part of this is here that happened, and this guy, as far as if you guys aren't aware of things, this guy here is Brian Steele, and this guy here is Keith Adams. They are both attorneys for Young Thug here in the middle. Okay, that's who the people are if you don't know who's who. But here we go. This is Brian Steele getting into another legal gunfight with the judge. And I think he's doing great.
Court to look into the appropriateness, Mr. Copeland, to my...
And Mr. Copeland is that guy we just listened to.
Observations around your courtroom, outside your courtroom on breaks, is surrounded by several members of law enforcement with the district attorney's office and prosecutors, potentially other persons. I don't know why a sitting witness under oath is in a room with prosecutors during breaks, mornings, afternoons. It's totally inappropriate. There are.
And he's right. When you're on the stand, you are not allowed to talk to anyone. You can't talk to anyone about your testimony. You're not supposed to hang out with counsel from either side because it gives the appearance of impropriety. You're screwing with that person. Except in this case, the prosecutors, which are these guys right here and these guys, are definitely fucking with things. They are definitely doing that. They are definitely 100% doing that. And then you've got all the defense attorneys and the defendants. All of these guys right here are the defendants and defense attorneys right there. And yes, the prosecutors are meeting with this witness, and they already know from what happened earlier in the week. This guy already knows that these two prosecutors were fucking with the witness. So he doesn't want them to keep doing it.
People who are in your court's door, there's a double door where the court sits to its right that aligns with the witness chair. And I noticed people standing there in law enforcement while Mr. Copeland is testifying. He's making eye contact with them. I don't know if they're his brother. My point to you is this. What gives anybody the right to surround a witness? He's not in custody. And bring a witness. I'm sure Mr. Copeland didn't say to the prosecutors, I don't know this, Your Honor. So if you think I'm wrong, then just strike it from your memory. But I'm sure he didn't say, hey, you guys want to hang out in this room a little while? So I believe that he is being led on a tether by the prosecutors, and it is coercion. It is inappropriate. And why would anybody not be recording everything he said? And why do I have to get it in drips and drabs? So I am objecting to the tactics of the Fulton County District Attorney's Office and whomever else they may have employed with a citizen, regardless of what the court may think of him or the prosecutors think.
I don't have any thoughts. So please don't put that in. Please don't put that in in the ether. Okay, but that's what you just said, sir.
Ether is
okay.
Clear. The court wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it either. So why is it happening? He's a.
See, I have no interest other than I'm a referee.
Well, you're the referee who spoke.
He's notice he's saying I'm the referee, but listen to this part. If you guys are new to the story.
With the witness without my presence.
Mr. Steele, we're not gonna get into that right now.
And he's calling out what he did earlier this week. You're the referee who spoke with the witness outside of the presence. That's not what a referee is supposed to do. Talk to one side and hang out with one side.
Well, okay, my point is, how is he being treated here? And why don't I have all this? And why is this going on? What an unfair trial for Mr. Williams. Think about it. If you were accused, Your Honor, and the judge met with this witness, with the prosecutor, and you sat next to me and Mr. Adams, you would say to us, what kind of case is this? Now he's being surrounded with all this law enforcement. My point is,
Your Honor, we're going to object that this.
I'm not going to be interrupted.
Mr. Steele, hold on. No, but you're Mr. Steele? Mr. Steele?
Yes, sir. What?
Okay.
I want to finish. I'm making a record for the court to understand.
Well, Mr. Steele.
I love he's just on a tear. The prosecutor interrupts him. He's just like, you shut your fucking mouth. And the judge, he's like, Judge, you let me finish too. He's going straight Kanye.
Been interrupted in a court except for this one. You allow.
Well, you know, but the challenge is in this point in time is that some of the things that you have said at certain points in time are not appropriate.
It's not true.
Okay, well that's the court's. The
court is wrong.
Well, you know, you have everybody has an opinion, and it can certainly be reviewed at the appropriate time. But finish up so you can go ahead and make your record.
Interrupt anyone about prosecutor or anyone. This is a record. This is important.
Okay, but it's your allegation and assertion, sir. Okay, so well, we don't know that. We don't know whether or not they're true.
What's going on?
Yes, we 100% know they're true. And you're going to get your asshole reamed out by the Court of Appeals.
Every time Mr. Copeland comes in the courtroom or out of court, he's escorted by a DA's office investigator. You see that? This court is observant. You're not just sitting there in a cloud. You see exactly what's going on.
And that when they say district attorney investigator, they have their own attorneys or they have their own detectives who can do investigating. They're sworn law enforcement officers. They carry a gun and can do all kinds of stuff. And they are escorting the witness, not the bailiffs.
You hear the prosecutor tell you, we were in a room with Mr. Copeland and he said these things. Why?
Okay.
Why do I have to bring it up? You should be bringing it up. This is crazy. This is like communist Russia. Mr. Williams is having the worst trial. So I am moving again to stop intimidating the witness by the prosecution, leave people alone, and stop accusing.
Now, I mean, if I was going to do that, I would have been a little more theatrical and said, this is a Stalin-esque show trial. Something like that. I think that would have been a little more forceful. That, you know, when he says, this is like communist Russia, it's like, okay, you could have done this as, you know. Yes, Derna should say, Mr. Steele, communism is here, not in Russia. Yes. Yes, a Khmer Rouge show trial. Yeah, but not a lot of, like, how many people in that room do you think know who the Khmer Rouge were? So, yeah. So anyways, there's been some straight fire in that courtroom lately. Just absolute fire that's been going on. And then, yeah, before we get too far on this, we're going to catch up on things here. The Amateur Iconoclast gifted 5 memberships. And Kat, not Kat Williams, gifted 5 memberships. Guys, thank both of you for your support and your generosity. I appreciate it. And then Darcy for $20 is saying Lil Woody's Instagram this afternoon for a job. It says, I see it on your application. You said you never went to jail. Me correct. I never went to jail. I was taken. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. And Earl is saying, dep up. No, dap. D-A-P. You know, I was going to go dap up somebody. Well, that means like you're going to give them like a hand, you know, fist bump, handshake, you know, give them a, you know, hug, whatever, you know, like that's all it means. Dap me up. Dap. You know, and if like, you know, you see, like if I ran into you, you know, hi, how are you doing? Or pound it, or, you know, whatever. You're like, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and you're like, psh, 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 psh. Yeah, dap me up. That's what that means. So, you know, that's the cool thing of being an attorney. You're always up on the lingo. You're always up on the lingo. Always up on it. A Hunter Dirty Rupert for $5 saying, Sean, you need to address him by his proper name and title. It's Brian Big Dick Steele. Put some respect on his name, yeah. And I saw some of you guys saying the lead attorney knows him and might have him on at some point. Oh my God, I'd love to be on that just to like listen to that guy talk. And I just want to tell him like, you the man. Like I said, this guy's he's been an attorney for like almost like 35 years. I hope when it comes my turn, if I'm ever in a situation like that, I fucking rock out too, like he's been doing. Yeah, KRM says he came for the law lessons, stayed for the Ebonics. Sean likes getting hugs. No, I don't. Please, if you ever encounter me in the real world, please don't hug me. That's also a great way to make sure you don't accidentally hug the wrong person too. But please don't hug me. I do not like it. Darcy says he needs a lawyer for that hearing, Sean. He's already got an attorney. And if you guys weren't aware, Ashley Merkant, the attorney who blew up Fannie Willis's stuff earlier this year, is representing Brian Steele in the court. So he's all set. The court is closed for Juneteenth. Yes, all courts are closed for Juneteenth. I was trying to set, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. I was trying to get a pretrial set, and I'm like, well, let's do 2 weeks. He's like, can't do 2 weeks. Like, I gotta go to the, I said, can we do a week? Can I come back and plea out a guy? He's like, no, we can't. I'm like, Wednesday's not a good day. And I'm like, why? And he's like, guy's like, Juneteenth. And I'm like, oh, So, yeah. All courts are now closed Juneteenth. So. Driver's seat says, was Hunter found guilty or not? Tell me! Yes, he was found guilty of all 3 counts. I think he should get it. I think those convictions should be reversed. The name of some sources, how could someone even get their arms around you? They'd have to like jump and like throw their arm around. I don't know. Maybe like Yao Ming with his long arms get around me. Or you want to hug me by putting me in a sleeper hold or choke hold. 10KV says guilty, but with a note from his dad. I'm a goofy goober says, would you rather be hugged or stepped on by random women? I don't want to be stepped on by random women. That's not happening. But I'm also not going to let random women hug me. That's not a good idea anyway. The Billy Graham rule is actually something you should follow out there, gents. That's number 2. Number 1 is not hugging because I don't feel that's a proper boundary, especially with, future Mrs. Martin 2.0. I don't think that's fair to her. And I don't think that's fair to our relationship, so I wouldn't do that. And then, actually, I'd say there's even another higher number 1. I just don't like hugging people. Like, my family, cool. Or, I got a best friend. If, when I go see him today, we probably hug. It's been a while since we've seen each other. But, you guys out there, just no offense. I'm not a big hugger. Not a big hugger. When people are like, oh, I'm a big hugger. And I'm like, fuck. Do you have a wedding photographer? No, not yet. We haven't gotten that far because we were not planning on getting married right away. So we haven't announced a date or anything yet. Battle of says, can we grind? Bush says, well, what about a mouth hug? It's like, okay, well, maybe those. Yeah, Italians hug everyone. I know they do, but still. Yeah, just a dap. Just dap me up is good enough. Just dap me up. I'll take that. What about an over the drawers hand rub? Oh, no. Karam says, can we do the meetup at a Golden Corral? I think sure, but you'd have to tell them I want them to clean out the chocolate Wonderfall, and disinfect it and use new chocolate. Because I've never had it before, because I'm just terrified of getting the funk from all the other fucking people that are there that are just nasty. Never go full Baldo. Never. I will put a fucking moonroof in the back of my head before I go full Baldo. Oh, whole lot Kyle for $5 saying, feel free to hit me up when the time comes. Kyle Long Photography out of Columbus. Okay. Wow. I thought being a Michigan fan in Ohio was tough. You're an Oklahoma fan in Columbus? Oh, boy. Good luck to you down there, sir. My hat's off to you. And yes, we can have Denny's cater it. It'll be perfect. That would be perfect. John Coleman is saying, is Smeck supposed to make my balloon not hurt? It depends on how you're doing it. Here it says, Sean doesn't want to hug. He wants a bear hug. No. I will be, I don't I make jokes. I'm a little retarded, but if you guys tried to hug me, that would just fuck. Gives me the willies thinking about it. Ohio, does Ohio have a state park? We've got a bunch of state parks. All right. So guys, we're going to move on. It's 2 hours, 20 minutes, chat. We got to fucking roll. We got to roll. We got to roll here. So out in Washington, well, it's Pride Month, and it's almost halfway through. And what do we see on Pride Month? Well, sidewalks get painted in honor of Pride. And, well, there are some here. And in response to this isn't from this year, but this is an example of what people have done on the Pride sidewalks. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Watching some dude in the middle of town just, like light them up. It's like perfect. Light them up, homie. Just whoop. That's one way to show your displeasure. Or, I mean, that one's pretty obvious. But to the horror of some people, there was a similar thing that happened. It was actually just horrible in Spokane, Washington. A couple of people attacked the sidewalk in Pride Month.
Police say it was defaced again. Spokane police arrested 3 teenagers for purposefully creating skid marks on the new mural last night. Graham 2's Nicole Hernandez spoke with someone who saw it happen.
So yes, a couple of kids put skid marks on this big Pride Crosswalk. Now, before we get too far, you're gonna see what it looked like, and you're like, what? You're like, hold on, wait, we did this for this? Because it's not, it wasn't, yeah. So anyways, here we go. Let's listen to the story a little bit.
On a block rife with LGBTQ support, the voice of the few has been loud recently.
It was.
Oh my God! Look at the skid marks, chat. Oh no, it's the skidder from
really
hell.
Sad and disappointing.
It's so horrible. It's so horrible. The they them NBs. How will they ever recover?
Kaylee Gaines McGee has worked at Atticus on Howard for 5 years.
And there you go.
So she's seen all the support.
Our shop in this street is so welcoming to everyone.
But she's also seen the hate.
It was
the hate. The hate, chat. It's some heckin', like, it looks like somebody dragged a bike tire across it. Now, these kids were riding like the scooters where you could rent them with your card. And they're like the electric scooters. They were just dragging the drag bar around. Oh no!
Definitely deliberate.
Most recently, Wednesday evening, while sitting on O'Doherty's patio.
We all looked over and just saw this group of teenagers
look at it, Chad. It's so horrible. It's the end of the LGBT people.
Deliberately making marks and scratch marks with their Lime scooters, like just all around.
Several witnesses confronted the group and called police.
We're not going to sit by as we watch people deliberately commit a hate crime, like right in the middle of downtown.
After looking at...
I mean, if it was an American flag and they're lighting it on fire, I'm sure she'd probably clap. So this isn't really different.
Security footage, officers arrested 3 teenagers. 2 are minors and 1 is 19-year-old Ruslan Turco.
You are charged.
These guys went to fucking jail for this, chat. They went to jail for this. Yeah, yeah, the real hate crime are tattoos. Yeah, those are not very flattering tattoos. But that's why I don't get tattoos. And I, your fearless host here, I remain a blank skin. I will never become a fucking inky. I will never become one of you out there. Where is this at? Spokane, Washington. Spokane, Washington. That's part of the issue, too. You're in the state of Washington.
With one count, malicious mischief.
Turco had his first appearance in court this afternoon. The judge released him under the condition he doesn't go near the crosswalk or the other teenagers. Prosecutors, though, had asked the judge to set a $15,000 bond since that's how much it costs to repaint the mural.
The community really came.
Like, listen to that bullshit. They're already trying to charge his bond based on the restitution amount. Like, fuck this shit. Fuck this shit.
Together to raise the money for them to be able to do it before the parade on Saturday.
Now this vandalism just hours after that repaint and only a few weeks after someone else set fire to the mural.
It sucks.
Someone lit it on fire. I mean, that means it's flaming. It's flaming, chat. Isn't that kind of like normal? Oh, Cat Madison saying, "Oh my gosh, U.S. use Formula 409." Yeah. Actually, I bet Formula 409 would strip that paint off because it's not meant to last. No way it costs that much. Yeah. That's not $15,000 worth of paint. No way in hell. They're just using regular house paint, I guarantee you. Yes, 15 grand to paint that. Like, if I was the attorney representing these guys, somebody's skimming some money.
To be reminded in moments like this that there are still people out there that, you know, have hate in their hearts for other people. So, yeah.
But Kaylee wants everyone to know the love outweighs the hate here on Howard and through the entire city. In Spokane, Nicole Hernandez.
So fucking retarded and gay. And gay. So, just absolute fucking horse shit. Absolute horse shit. So, now in response to this, and here's some more information. This thing got vandalized once again. Like, you guys want real vandalism? Here you go. They wanted to cry about vandalism, so someone showed them real vandalism. So there you go. Somebody really did the heckin' vandalism to it. Someone did some heckin' vandalism, chat. Yes. Lithium Mike says they just want to get married, and here we are. Yep. They put it on a fucking road. Yep. Mm-hmm. Kramer knew how to fix this. Yes, he did. Yes, Jason Richards definitely had a response. Brimstone is saying, "I'm going to rub your belly. I would rather you do that than hug me. I don't want that either, but if you're telling me like you're putting a gun to my head, like we'll do what we got to do." Hubbleson says, "Rain Man." Yes, except I'm not as smart as the Rain Man, but I'm just as retarded. So, yeah. John Coleman saying, "Did the figs cry?" Looks like it. Super Wiener says the physiognomy check failed. Well, actually, it's like exactly what you thought she'd look like. John Coleman is saying they make the skid marks sound like crosses burning. Well, yeah. And then Fenris Wolf is saying the burnout was yesterday. The crosswalk is in Huntington, West Virginia. Oh, I thought those from last year. They're denying the other groups from doing the intersections. Is this a federal case waiting to happen for the denials? Ooh, that's interesting. Just Pride Month, only Pride crosswalks. In Huntington, West Virginia, though? Really? Really, West Virginia? I would argue, yes, that's a time that is a content that is not a content neutral restriction. Torgo the White saying Pride Month, Washington's Ramadan confirmed. Yes, and Malcolm Combs is saying, downtown Spokane is a blight upon the rest of the city. O'Doherty and Dry Fly Distillery aren't bad, though. Although apparently a bunch of fucking narcs hang out at O'Doherty's. Huntington's a college town. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we need a Law 2 crosswalk. It's going to be an N-word tower written across. Sounding 6, yeah. Say what you want to say about the boys. And they had it right, yeah. Ken's saying off topic, but the VA approved my wife and I for IVF treatment. Oh, congrats. Finally, after 14 years and double-digit miscarriages, we will finally be able to have kids. I'm so fucking excited. Well, congratulations to you guys. Congratulations to you guys. And, here's to, well, I don't know if you guys are just shooting for one or they're going to be a bunch, but, here's to some happy and healthy children. When you guys are able to fulfill what you guys have been shooting for. So, congrats. Yes, Marshall controls everything there, but really, I didn't. Still surprised. What if you tag a rainbow crosswalk in Free Gaza? I think you break the fucking Matrix. That's how you hack the Matrix, chat. You go out there with Free Gaza, or you slap Palestinian paint all over it. That's all those kids had to do. Oh my God, that's almost like, I would love to see that interaction happen, because that's like the unmovable object and the unstoppable force, and they're just gonna boom. Yeah, how does that work? Yeah. Or let's say you paint an Israeli flag on the Pride thing, over the Pride thing. Over the Pride flag, you paint Israeli flag. They can't get mad at you because you're like, because you could be like, well, are you anti-Semitic? There's so many ways you control them. Yes, hack the Matrix. Even better than Andrew Tate could claim. Joe Loyce has a wicked thought. I like it. I know. Nancy Grace. Good to see you, Nancy. Saying, why don't they paint these murals in the sewers? I'm sure the shit water will mix well with the vomit. Enduring flag. I don't know why, Nancy. Mr. McLeod 54 is saying that's a dividing by zero moment. Also, McLeod, thank you for being here. You look like a new name. So thanks for stopping in. Palestine might not work. Ukraine, though, that's what's funny. Well, I mean, no, I don't think. Yeah, nobody. Salami Ukraine is not going to cut it. But if you do a Palestinian flag or an Israeli flag, like they. Oh, doing the Israeli flag would be great, because you could be like, "Are you guys heckin' anti-Semites?" Like, cops could be like, "Oh, no, sir, no, we're not." Pride on pride crime, yeah. Garrett says anti-Semitism is big in and around Spokane. Oh, okay, so they probably got a lot of Antifa. So yeah, you probably have to do the Palestine thing, and the Antifa people wouldn't be able to attack you. It's like, are you guys aren't down with Palestine and Free Gaza? And they're gonna be like, shit. Oh. Jack Riley says, imagine needing to emergency brake and you happen to be over the Pride mural and catching a felony for it. Yeah. You're coming up and the brakes don't work in your car. And there's like an old grandma pushing a stroller across the street with a baby in it. And you're like, well, I guess they're going to, you run them over and they're like, why didn't you hit the brake, your emergency brake in time? You're like, I didn't want to ruin the crosswalk. And they're like, yeah, that's actually a defense because we understand you'd go to jail. So not guilty. Sounding 6 says anti-Semitism is just the natural order of things. It may be, but you can use it as a weapon against people. 10K view says just drive on the sidewalk. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I can recommend that. I don't know if I can recommend that, chat. So don't do that. Don't do that. And then we got one last thing tonight. Chat. Bahrain just saying cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks. Like, here's just so we're clear. He says that. This is him. That's him saying it, not me. I'm not telling you to cool it. He's telling you to cool it. So take that as you will. Take that as you will. Take that as you will. All right, chat. So we got one last thing, and it's Nathan Wade. Fonnie Willis's boo. And part of the getting paid $1 million to basically run the Trump RICO case. And here we go. This is a very interesting thing that happens because he gave an interview and dropped all kinds of knowledge, but this is actually very funny.
What is your current relationship with the district attorney?
Just as outlined earlier, we are great friends. We speak regularly. The conversation has changed, though.
Our conversation has changed because I make her go waka 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 routinely. Subtitles English. We'll do auto translate to English because that's coming out it's coming out in Irish.
Whereas before our conversations were about this case. I'm sure you could imagine and appreciate the amount of time that it takes that you have to pour into a case a case of this magnitude, trying to prosecute those defendants. But our conversations have shifted to how are you handling the threats that are coming your way? Are you being safe? Democracy, the case will live on, kind of thing.
Just to clarify, when did the romantic relationship between the two of you start?
Yeah, so we get into. There's been this effort to say that okay, these exact dates are at issue, and these exact dates are. I'm getting signaled here.
Yeah, you notice that's all being live. You're like, while you're on a live camera, like in a recording, you're like, wait, people are trying to wave at me, and they're going like, no! They're like.
Yeah, take it. You want to go off mic for a second?
Yes.
Okay.
That guy in the white shirt and white tie probably was an attorney. Just guessing.
Keep rolling. Keep rolling. Don't stop down
there. Guy's like, if you keep talking, you're going to go to fucking prison. Shut up.
Yeah, good.
They're praying.
Everything okay?
Yeah.
Just to revisit the question, it was to clarify when the romantic relationship.
I love how everything okay? Yeah. Jeez, man.
Started and when it ended.
Sure. So, I believe that the public has, through the testimony and other interviews, the public has a clear snapshot that this is clearly just a distraction. It is not.
And notice the non-answer answer there. Yes, his wife's divorce attorney wanted an answer. Well, Deanna's saying, did they not know this is live? Oh, 100% they knew it was live. But they also understood the camera was not going to stop recording. So that's the thing. This wasn't a live interview. It's a recorded interview, but it's just like the R. Kelly one. Basically, whatever you do there, that like those are the dangers of these things. When you're not somebody that they're cool with, because you could easily just make yourself look like a piece of shit. So yes, a clear snapshot, the clearest. Joseph Houghton is saying, is you or is you ain't the baby daddy? Oh, and where, hold on. Did he just pop in? Steve Gosney, where? You guys are saying that. Where is he? I don't see him, chat. You guys are messing with me here. Steve Gosney's here. Gosney says hi. Hi, Steve. If you're out there, hello. I don't see you on the thing, but that's okay. It's Steve Gosney, right? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I see that. So thanks for being here. Now, yes, that said, though, we are just wrapping up. Steve Gosney took a dump here. All right. All right. Steve is 8 sidecars in. Don't let him talk. Ooh. All right. We'll definitely not do that. We definitely won't do that tonight then, chat. So, guys, that is it. We are all caught up. 2 hours and 45 minutes. Normally try to keep it like, I remember for a while we were trying to keep it at 2 hours, but, well, especially now, there's all kinds. There's a power vacuum starting at midnight Eastern time nowadays, most weeknights. So that's yeah. So guys, we are all caught up. We got through everything we wanted to tonight. Thank you to everybody here. I appreciate it. 673 here on YouTube, 166 on Twitter, and 2 in Twitch. Guys, if you're here on YouTube, please, if you'd like this, please give me a like. If you are new, I would appreciate you subscribing. Certainly would appreciate that. If you're over on Twitch, I mean, I don't know what you could do over there, but okay. And then real quick, Johan saying, Barange is a fucking Janny. Get him! Yes. No Jannies allowed. Oh, Joe's going to stream. Okay, well, hold on. I'll redirect you guys over to Joe, because I'm not sure. Let's see. What else we got going on? Let's see here. All right, hold on. This is the only thing I don't like about YouTube. You can't quickly access stuff. Let me see here. There's Joe's thing. All right, Joe's going live at 12:30, so you guys are going to have to wait a little while. But that's it for tonight. Thank you for everybody being here. I appreciate it, guys. Tomorrow is Karen Reed, day 25. We are not, let me see here. It's going to be a full day. And I've got some stuff in the afternoon. And I got to work on some things tomorrow. I will be on with Future Conflicts at 9 because I got something, and then after that I got stuff to do, so I won't be able to stick around all day. We will catch up on Karen Reed tomorrow night and over the weekend. Also, we are going to be so I've got some information on it. There's a YouTuber, his named Alex Choi. He does a lot of cool videos involving cars and whatnot, and he just did a video that, well, he's getting indicted federally for it. Broke multiple federal laws. Shooting a video with a Lamborghini, a helicopter, and a bunch of fireworks. So, you guys, well, you know what? You guys want Jack show? Fine, I'll put in the Jack show. You guys want the Jack show? Oh, Cecil's on. Okay. I can't find it. Yeah, I can't find it on here, guys. I'm trying to look for it in the redirect. I don't see it. So you'll survive anyway. With that said, guys, good night to everybody. And I will, like I said, see you tomorrow afternoon. We'll be catching up. But in the meantime, as always, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. Good night, chat. And like I said, guys, we'll be heading over to Locust shortly. So take care, everybody. Good night.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty, but please talk to